Los Angeles, I'm and most Hollywood night. She goes to California, oh, California.
What you say about Los Angeles?
LA got the people saying,
You're listening to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. It's time for another episode of Corner of the Galaxy from the Box, the show that gets you behind the scenes of the LA Galaxy and into the minds of soccer reporters and MLS experts. Your hosts for the day are Corner of the Galaxy's Josh Guesman and LA Times soccer reporter Kevin Baxter. Let's start the show.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Corner of the Galaxy from the Box on cornerofthegalaxy.com. I'm your host, Josh Guesman, coming to you on a Monday, September 8th, the LA Galaxy 1-1 draw with Houston. It was a late one. Funny enough, the Galaxy probably could have had 3 points out of that one, especially after a strong second half when they got some of the guys who they rested in the first half up and in it, playing well in that second half, but not good enough in the first half. So we'll talk about the game against Houston, if you got to watch it. We'll talk about the broadcast and everything, all the fun that was happening with that as well. But we have a lot to get to. And instead of Mr. Kevin Baxter, who was once again covering the Dodgers, I think by now Dodgers fans should want him not covering them anymore. But he is still there. We have my favorite person to fill in. It is Mr. Damian Calhoun. Damian, how's it going, bud?
Doing great.
Yeah?
Once again, filling in for Kevin. He's gonna owe me lunch or dinner or something.
Yeah, I talked to him today, and he goes, I'm sorry, I'm still out. And I'm like, I know. I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't. I go, how is he's like, he goes, I'll eventually get to write about soccer again. I go, did you get to cover the U.S. men's national team? He's like, I don't want to talk about it. You guys, I got other stuff to do, the whole deal. I'm like, okay. So, but no, we appreciate it. He's just been, unfortunately, with the way, Damian, I don't need to tell you this, but unfortunately with just the way everything is over, he goes where he is. He said he was going to do the Rams game as well, and then last minute got waved off of that. So he will go where you point. He's a sports hound.
Yeah, that's the way it is in this business. You got to go where you're told to go sometimes. Lucky for me, I'm able to stick with soccer a little bit.
Right.
So here I am.
You still end up doing high school football, and you do a whole bunch of Kevin said he goes, oh, I had to do a high school football game. I'm like, how'd they have you doing it? He was like, well, it was at Valencia. I'm like, oh, so it was around the corner from your house? He's like, yeah. I'm like, oh, okay, that's fine. That's as it should be, right? If you should get to cover around the corner. But Damian, I'm not going to say that you and I had a wonderful watching experience whenever it came to the game against Houston. I think it might be hard to actually find somebody who watched this game uninterrupted unless they were either A, out of state, or B, were at the game. Because I talked to Hammer after I was complaining profusely online and anywhere else I could about how crappy the broadcast was and how it kept resetting. We'll talk about that here in a second. But he was like, oh, man, I'm having no problems the whole deal. I'm like, oh, so it's a regional thing. It's a regional problem that was the whole deal. I heard some higher ups had problems watching it as well. But I was told that it was an encoder issue. I know nothing about this exactly, but yeah, it was an encoder issue. And then clearly it was something between the link between, MLS and Apple and how that goes together, because basically what it was doing is it was just kicking us out all the time. I think, were you on your phone and it was kicking you out?
Yeah, I was on my phone. I was watching. It would work at times for a few minutes, and then it would either take me back to the screen that says "Action's coming soon," or it would almost start over. It did it 3 or 4 times in the first half.
3 or 4, man.
Late first half, I said, I'm out of here. I just turned on Joe on the radio stream.
Right.
But then I came back late in the second half, maybe 80th minute or whatever, and then I was able to get through the rest of the game. But
yeah,
it was a mess.
Every time I was relaying, because I asked the Galaxy, I'm like, hey, what's going on? Like, is something happening in Houston? One is apparently Houston always has some audio issues at Houston for whatever reason. The cables, I don't know, the raccoons eating the cables. I don't know if that's true, but it sounds plausible,
Sounds
right?
like it.
Yeah. So that type of thing. But this wasn't an audio problem. In fact, we could hear, Mo perfectly fine. All of these criticisms you should set aside from the commentators, because I thought that they did a wonderful job. They always do a great job covering the Galaxy. That's not where I'm going. Where I'm going is on the production side of things, because this was a nightmare. I would be like, hey, it just kicked me out again. Hey, just so you know, it just kicked me out 3 times in a row where I got on and then it would be stable for like a minute and then it would kick you out. And at the very beginning of the game, whenever first of all, I love the hold music, the da 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 da. That it like sort of gets into you. But whenever I was waiting for the game to start, all of a sudden it's tried to show like the Dallas game. And you were like, wait, why is it showing the Dallas game? That doesn't make any sense. And so I'm like, I must have clicked the wrong button. I thought it was me. So I went back out and went back in. And then I'm like, oh no, here's the Galaxy game again. And then you started to get these little glitches. You're like, what's going on? How is this happening? And then I thought it was just me for a while. And then I was like, hey, is anybody else having problems? The Discord was like, yeah, something's going on. Like, I can't get it either. And I was telling the Galaxy, and they're like, we're trying to work on it. We don't know what it is. Like, we're talking to the people who are supposed to be doing this. So absolute nightmare. In terms of, if you are a fan of either of those teams and you were trying to watch it and you were affected, that's nuts to me. Like, that's just that. How does that happen in this day and age? Unless it's a sunspot or something, Damian.
Yeah. It was just crazy. I thought it was me as well. I know by Saturday, my internet bill was late, so I thought maybe my internet was messing me up a little bit, but I went ahead and paid that this morning. But yeah, it was just a crazy night. But thankfully, I had Joe there to guide me through the radio call there for a while.
The answer when you are in trouble should always be Joe Totino, right? Yeah. That is 100%. You can't go wrong with that. Yeah, it was a nightmare. So at one point, I almost gave up, and I was like, I'm trying to cover this game. I'd like to be there to ask questions at the end, but if I can't watch this in a stable way, the most frustrating one, I think it was in the second half, there was a possible, I don't know, there was either a foul in the box or something that was kind of happening, and it might have been something, and I was waiting for the replay, and it was during run of play, and so you knew as soon as play stopped, you were going to get to see the replay, and so play stopped, and you're like, finally, here comes the replay, and just as the replay started, it reset on me, and I was like, I've been waiting for a minute and a half for that replay, and now I missed it, and now I can't see, and now I couldn't see it, so just some craziness. So, I mean, that's sort of the backdrop. You go to Houston. I liked Greg before this game whenever he talked about he doesn't like having to go back to cities twice, and he goes, you could figure out whether that was a Houston problem or just in general. I think it's a Houston problem. I'm going to be very clear, right?
It's always a Houston problem.
Yeah, it's always a Houston problem, right? Doesn't want to go back to Houston twice. So he goes, but it's a makeup game. It's in Houston. Houston had the rain out before where they didn't get to play, so that was weird and wacky. And then you go here, and then you get, the voodoo inside the switches of Apple TV that starts going haywire and sideways. And then you get a Houston Dynamo team that ends up, taking a lead on this Galaxy side. And listen, the Galaxy have not had success whenever it comes to giving up the first goal, Damian, and getting results out of it. I believe this is only the 6th time all season out of, are we at 20 games now? Something like that. It's either 19 or 20 games where the LA Galaxy have allowed the first goal. As a matter of fact, I have this graphic for us. It's the 20th time that the LA Galaxy have given up the first goal this year out of what we're at 28 games.
28 games, yeah.
That's not a good Damian, I'm not a a stats guy, but that seems like that maybe isn't a sign of success for the Galaxy this year.
No, that's almost like what 2023 was, but now it's a little bit 2025. It's just been just look at all those L's and all those losses too.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah,
I mean,
one thing, remember a couple years ago, Greg always talked about when they struggled at home, and they always talked about coming out and getting on top of a game early at home. I think back in 2022 or whatever, he always talked about how he wanted the group to come out on top of a game, and as you see this year, that hasn't been the case at all this year.
No, you haven't seen. Only 8 times have the Galaxy scored first. By the way, when they score first, they're still only 4-3-1, right? So it's not like it's a magic bullet for them to score first and get it done. They have almost as many losses as they do wins whenever they score first. All right, so That's a crazy stat. But they are 0 wins whenever they allow the first goal. They have never done it. This is the 7th time this season where they've allowed the first goal and got a point. So only 7 other times or 6 other times had they even gotten a point whenever the opponent had scored first. Just a sort of massive thing. So when you see the LA Galaxy, and let's go to the lineup here, it was a little bit of a rotated lineup. We knew that Greg Vanney was going to do this. He told us in sort of the lead up. One is, Damian, there were like 17 or 18 players that were out with injury, I think. If I remember, maybe it was 25 players that were out with injury or were out and not there. So Joseph Paintsel out of the country, right? You have Puig out. You had Nascimento out. You had Aude out. I think Royce was out. Who else am I missing?
Think injury-wise, I think that might be it.
That might be it. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. I had it at one point. I had screenshot it, but in terms of that, it was a whole bunch of people missing, and so you knew there was not withstanding the fact that we knew the Galaxy were going to rotate anyway, right?
Yeah, one more, Emiro Garces. Yeah,
that's it. Emiro was out as well, right? So you knew there was going to be some rotation here. Chris Rindolph with the first team contract, all those sort of things coming in. So now he's playing next to Maya Yoshida. You had Mauricio Cuevas out on the right-hand side. You had John Nelson on the left-hand side. Winder was in there next to Cerrillo. Fagundes is in that central part as well. Harbor Miller sort of playing in this advanced role that I think that maybe they wanted. Fagundes was probably up a bit above Harbor Miller a little bit more than what it was, but I think Fagundes was trying to play a more central role at the beginning of this game as well. Miguel Berry over Christian Ramirez. That's the one. Let's pretend like we didn't watch the game. Let's pretend like the game hasn't happened, Damian. There has been shouts and there's been criticism of Greg Vanney for not playing Christian Ramirez. I would like to say that a lot of that criticism has come from people who I think don't watch the Galaxy this year, right? It's sort of like, oh, well, you have Christian Ramirez on your bench, so he should be playing. And in my opinion, the first choice for Greg Vanney is going to be Nascimento. And then after that, depending on what you're trying to get and who you're trying to play, it's probably going to be Miguel Berry. I know people don't love that, but Miguel Berry plays a different type for me. Are we on the same page there? Or is there criticism to Greg Vanney for not playing Christian Ramirez? The Christian Ramirez was a very successful striker throughout his career. And even at Columbus last year had a good year. So is this Greg Vanney not being able to fit him in, or does Christian Ramirez not fit into the system? How do you think this plays out? And is Greg Vanney at fault for any of this?
I think even at some points, even the option above Berry is probably a false 9 option. That might be his second option behind Nascimento at times. It seems
Marco
like.
Royce, right?
Yeah, Marco at the false 9. It just seems like Christian. He's never really. I don't think he's ever fit into the system. Just going back to watching him all the way back in Coachella. Of course, then it was a different situation. He was coming in, joined the team there, or whatever. But during the season, I don't think he's really fit in. He's not really the typical 9 that he uses in the system. You look at Joveljic last year, the hold of play, and the goals. Berry and Joveljic sort of plays the same way a little bit, aside from the goals, of course.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, that's 17 or whatever.
17.
Yeah. I just don't think Christian never really fit into the system. I don't remember. I don't know if Columbus, do they play with 2 strikers? I'm not really sure if they did last year or not. But I don't think he never really fit into this group here.
Yeah, it feels that. I tend to be with you, is that even having not seen this game, it was my impression that Christian Ramirez, when he's been given time, has not found his way into the game. And some of that is his ability to fit into the system as much as the system has to sort of try to fit around him as well. So I haven't been impressed with his minutes. And so I tend to lean on the side that Miguel Berry is, while not a great option. Listen, neither one of these are great options. You're not picking, you're not picking between Luis Suarez, who got suspended. You're not picking between Luis Suarez and Dejan Joveljic here, right? Like you don't have those options. Nascimento for most of the year wasn't that guy either, and we're all sort of sitting there going, oh, I don't know who you play, but put somebody up there. And like you said, false 9. Marco Royce was the better answer sometimes. So that's how I see it. Now, you go into this game, Miguel Berry in this first half, the first half is largely MIA for the LA Galaxy. I didn't think that Elijah Winder had his best play. I don't think that Harbor Miller had his best playing. Maybe they were just trying to move around and do some different things. Miguel Berry was just non-existent through most of this. Tucker Lepley up on that right-hand side. While I love Tucker Lepley, and you're going to get at least an energetic performance out of him, there was nothing happening in this first half for the LA Galaxy for me that said, oh yeah, this is a team that's going to find a way to get back to get back into this game, because Maya Yoshida was getting run over in this game as well. That was the other part of this. Ponce on the other side had the goal, and then also had a couple good chances, I thought, to open up more of a lead. And we didn't see the Galaxy really be able to push back on that in the first half. I thought they were sort of getting run over. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I thought they were pretty lucky just to be only down a goal going into halftime. This is pretty much the same lineup that started the Seattle game at home. So, taking them on the road, you probably expect them to struggle a little bit. But the second half, once he made some changes, you see the team sort of settled their way into the game.
Yeah, it did seem to sort of start things. And that was my whole thing, is you get into the second half, and that's where things change. The other person we didn't mention, by the way, JT Marcinkowski, and I think that there's some focus to be put on JT here recently. You get into the second half, Gabriel Peck comes in, Lucas Sanabria gets in there, Miki Amane ends up playing in there. Eventually Isaiah Parente comes in as well. There's some things that change. Christian Ramirez comes into that central spot, right? So there's sort of some things that change in that second half that you start to look and say, okay, things are kind of looking up for the LA Galaxy. Things started to change a little bit. And I'll steal this from Eric, because he was texting me. He goes, Houston are pulling their best LA Galaxy right now. He goes, Houston had plenty of chances to open this game up, had plenty of chances to make it 2-0, 3-0. They didn't do any of that. They let the Galaxy hang around, and all of a sudden in the second half, the Galaxy, through Gabriel Peck and a lot of his movement, what he starts creating, they start creating problems from Houston, and Houston seems like all they're trying to do is hold on to a lead, and you can see it like slipping from their grasps. And in front of all this backdrop, at least for me, and I know Greg Vanney because I talked to him afterwards, is the reminiscence of what happened last year whenever these two teams played each other at the last day of the regular season, and the Galaxy coming up and tying it late, and then watching Dan Steres score late into stoppage time, and to take the Western Conference championship away from the LA Galaxy, and probably ended up winning them an MLS Cup too. But hey, that's a different story for a different time. So for me, watching that sort of happen, it's like you could almost read the tea leaves, Damian, only because I think as observers of the LA Galaxy, we've watched that collapse happen so many times this year, where the Galaxy have had leads and tried to hold on and haven't been confident in what they were trying to do. You could see that coming. And so despite the horrible broadcast and trying to say, it was not a surprise to me that the Galaxy suddenly took this game and spun it on its head. And it seemed like Houston was powerless to stop it. And Ben Olsen was throwing guys out there and trying to move things around. And the Galaxy were suddenly solving problems. And so often we talk about lineups, and we talk about, so many things, that how the coach sets things up. But the success of a team, at least for me, is watching them solve problems in games. And all of a sudden you had better players on the field in the second half. They were a little bit more rested. Gabriel Peck comes out flying at people, and that causes all sorts of problems. But you have guys who all of a sudden are starting to solve problems. Now they're dangerous. Lucas Sanabria playing a little bit higher up the field, right? There's all these little things that start to click for the LA Galaxy, and you're watching Houston melt away from it. And I just couldn't help but feel I've seen this play out so many times this season just for the LA Galaxy.
Yeah, you also had when Cuevas came in there, whipping in those little balls from the right that are just dangerous the way he hits them. It's almost like, I think one of the broadcasters said, he just hits it. He hits it where it's like, I'm going to hit this, and you're going to be there.
Right.
I know you're going to be there. Or if you're not there, he's going to go out for a corner, which he probably created like 3 or 4 corners in the second half. They just found a way. So we haven't seen much at all this year. Just found a way to get a point. They had a good chance to get out there with 3 points, which I guess that's all they're at this point in the season. They're just looking, to play. Of course they're playing out the season, but they're trying to close this thing out strong. And in the process, if that affects somebody else's playoff hopes, hey, they're fine with it as well. They're just trying to close it out strong, and look ahead to next year.
Yeah, I mean, that's the other part about this is that Houston's right on the bubble, right? And a win, they have to be licking their chops. And I even heard Murray Sadu talking about it. He goes, if you see that lineup from the LA Galaxy, whenever it comes out and it starts, like as Houston, you have to be like, yeah, we got to take advantage of this, right?
Yeah.
Same thing with Colorado when Colorado came to Dignity Sports Park and looked at the rotated lineup ahead of the Leagues Cup game and had to have been like, oh, we got this, no problem. And then, gets absolutely run over, right? The train's coming through. That didn't happen this time. But the Galaxy, here's the weird part about this game, Damian. As much as I watched and tried to watch through all the stuff, watching the momentum shift to the Galaxy in the second half, the whole deal, I never thought they would be in a position to win the game, right? And you're sort of like, oh, they're going to get a draw, the whole deal. You have, before they actually get the header from Sanabria and a nice run by Gabriel Peck, who runs across the top of the box, is able to feed John Nelson. John Nelson gets to hit that first time, left-footed, doesn't have to wait for it, just sort of floats it into a weird spot in the center. I mean, it's like, in most cases, Damian, I don't like little floaty balls that just sort of are, oh, I'm just going to dink this over here. I like driven because you create momentum with that, the whole deal. But he just dinks it. And Sanabria is running full speed across that center. And he's like, I'm going to get there. And he does. And he heads it into the corner. And you're like, the Galaxy just scored that goal. And having said that, they had a chance where they almost scored before that whenever Christian Ramirez gets in on one, right? And so who was it on the left-hand side? Was it Nelson who cut on the left-hand side to feed that, or somebody else on that left-hand side who fed that ball across?
I thought it was either Sanabria,
the
one that Peck hit, right?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Sanabria. Somebody in the
Sanabria.
Yeah, somebody in the chat room can remember that as well. But he hits that, and Ramirez has a chance to just dink that in. He's there all by himself. He has a left foot that all he has to do is touch it, and the ball goes in the net, and the Galaxy are up 1-0. He misses it. I think it kind of gets stuck under him a little bit. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Let's say it was tipped or something, and it just goes a little bit behind him because he whiffs on it. But as it goes over his foot, it goes to Gabriel Peck. Well, Christian Ramirez is falling down at that point, and then he's on the ground. Then Peck whips it at the goal, which if Ramirez wasn't laying down right where he was, it wouldn't have gone off his foot and into the goal. It just would have been a goal. And you sit there and you're almost like, this seems like the LA Galaxy season in 2025, right?
Yeah, that was a perfect example of how everything has gone this year. I don't think I've ever seen. I probably have, but I can't remember seeing that in recent times. Shot on goal and right off the guy who's laying right there on the line, which is.
And then there was confusion. I know everybody was sort of looking at it because Jonathan Bond, the Houston goalkeeper, former LA Galaxy goalkeeper, had come off his line. So he was in the middle of the pack. So then it was about who was back on the line. And there was one Houston player back on the line. And everybody's like, oh, well, that keeps Ramirez on. It's like, no, it doesn't. He's second to last defender. It doesn't have to be a goalkeeper, right? The whole deal. Yeah. And so they showed the replay and you're like, okay, yeah, he is offside. So that made sense. That almost felt like, that was the chance. And you're not going to get another one. Then Sanabria scores and he brings it in. And what is it? The 10th minute of stoppage time that he scores? Let's go. 9 + 9. Yeah. 90 + 9. Is whenever Sanabria gets in there, assists for Peck and John Nelson. So Sanabria knocks that home. Then there's a scramble, right? Because of course there is. There was only supposed to be, I think, 8 minutes of stoppage time whenever we started, but there were some subs and some things that had happened, and there was the goal in there that sort of had extended. So we knew we were going longer than 8. So now we're into 9th and 10th, and you get Houston with a chance, and there's a possibility of a penalty inside the box. But just after that happens, the ball gets cleared, and it gets cleared right up the center. And Christian Ramirez, who's about 5 yards inside the LA Galaxy's half, starts taking off, and he's gone. And he is now one-on-one with Jonathan Bond. He's being chased down from behind, but he has a chance to win this game. In that brief moment, now there's probably like 2.5, 3, 4 seconds there, Damian, where you got to watch that ball get kicked up through the center line, and you saw Christian Ramirez running straight down the middle of the field. We were sort of talking about this before we started, but is there anybody else at the striker position that you would have wanted to take that? Because in my opinion, he's the guy. That's the guy you want. The most experienced guy there, scored tons of goals, knows how to handle this. This is a chance for the Galaxy not only to have stolen a point, but to steal 3 points, to do something that they haven't done all year, which is win on the road. This is like demons are being exorcised as Christian Ramirez is galloping down the center of the field. Did you think he was going to make that?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, you thought 1v1, yeah. Either how you want to do it. You want to chip the keeper. I mean, Bond's already low. He's a tall guy, but Bond's already low. Maybe chip him. Yeah, I thought he had it.
Yeah.
But as we know, it didn't happen that way.
It didn't happen that way. And some of this is, in my mind, Christian Ramirez not playing enough, right? Because he looked like he was out of gas. That's what it looked like. Go watch it again. Watch how he's basically stumbling towards the ball at the end. I mean, I say that as probably more hyperbole than actuality, right? He's moving towards that ball, but he seems to get tired at the end. In a perfect world, he gets that ball and he comes across the middle so that way he can cut off the defender who's chasing him and sort of create some distance, right? Either let him foul you, or you want to basically make him have to run around you, and you want to protect the ball. And by doing so, you probably give yourself an angle to either side of Jonathan Bond, and so then you can pull the ball around him, or you can do anything that you want to do. Instead, he shoots, I think, maybe just inside the top of the box, which already you're out too far. Another touch is probably where you want to go. You want to make sure Jonathan Bond is coming out to get you as well. And if he's going to stay, then you have room as well. So there's lots of things that have to go right there, and they just don't go right for Christian Ramirez. And this is where I get into I think in hindsight, I would have, or at least going into this game, I would have said, if you're telling me Christian Ramirez is 1v1 against Jonathan Bond in the 11th minute of stoppage time or whatever it is, and the Galaxy have a chance to win the game, then who else do you want there? Because you can put Nascimento there. I think you have a 50-50 chance of him scoring, right? You have Miguel Berry in there. Love me some Miguel Berry. Maybe you have a 30% chance of scoring with Miguel Berry there. Christian Ramirez is the only guy that I would sort of say you have like a 60% chance of scoring from that. And that's with the LA Galaxy strikers the way they are this year. And to see that fall apart in that moment, it almost, and it didn't tarnish anything, because the Galaxy still walk away with a point. They still sort of rescue something. But you guys should have won that game. Glenn Davis, who was covering it for Houston, right, and does all the good stuff, put out the next day. He's like, this game should have been 2-1, to the Galaxy. And they showed the play with Christian Ramirez streaking down the center of that. Maybe it's a microcosm of how the Galaxy season goes this year that you just can't get that done, Damian. But does it feel seriously looking at that chance, looking at the chance that Ramirez bungles that could have made it 1-0 or 1-1 earlier? Right, in that second half, it feels like the Galaxy got let down a little bit by Christian Ramirez in this one, and he was put in positions to score, and that's what he was supposed to be doing, and he didn't do it. And seeing that's I don't know what that says about Christian Ramirez, other than I don't think he's coming back next year, right? I don't think that he's shown enough, but it just feels like maybe some of that has to hang a little bit on his shoulders.
Yeah, I mean it's all there for everybody to see there. When you thought you talked about maybe he hasn't played enough. Same goes for Barry. I mean, Barry had 2.5 months where he didn't get on the field, or whatever.
Yeah.
Once Nascimento found his comfort level and his groove, he was pretty much the choice there. If he wasn't a false nine, it was always Nascimento, and that just made Barry and Ramirez late subs, if anything. And you can always say, you can train, but game speed is different than training speed.
Yeah.
So maybe it all chalks it up to just not enough playing time, but still that's your most experienced striker on the roster. So
to
one of
me,
those things where
if you get your chances though, Damian, and this goes for anybody. I mean, look at somebody like Harbor Miller, and you look at some of the younger guys who've gotten chances. Is like, if you have chances, you better take them. Right, you better make something of it. And that's the disappointment there in seeing sort of the end of the game. I thought the Galaxy play. I asked Greg Vanney afterwards if you could see the patience in the game plan sort of working in the second half, right? And he was sort of like, yeah, the fact that we were able to keep it 1-0, that was big. And you can credit that to the LA Galaxy thwarting things. And listen, Maya Yoshida was getting just torched online. Like, people were going crazy. I thought the first goal by Ponce, by the way, is really good ball control. And I think if Miguel Berry scores that against you, you're sort of like, Miguel Berry's a wonder man. Look at him go. I just thought he touched the ball correctly. He cut Yoshida off in the front, and then he was able to turn and burn around the corner. Sometimes those are good goals. Sometimes there's nothing you're going to do about it. Not saying that somebody, I think, rightfully said maybe the only thing Maya Yoshida could have done is been about 5 years younger in that particular one, right? And I was like, that's probably a pretty fair point. in there. So, I mean, Greg talked afterwards about Sanabria, and this is why these games are important, is because you give this guy some confidence. I mean, what do you think from just the game and from Sanabria, or from anybody's point of view, that this is doing for the Galaxy right now?
Yeah, it has to be good confidence for him. Score the goal there late. And one thing that I asked Greg after you went is just like, because he said they battle with, do they want him high, do they want him low? He thinks he can play high. But then I asked him, like, if you want, when you throw Riqui into the mix, how does that affect Sanabria, Winder, guys who haven't played with him yet? That's why I think they should, if Riqui can make his way through all his tests so far, they got to give him a run just to see how everything fits this year. But I guess we'll see how that plays out. But
I haven't seen an international roster spot, and that roster freeze deadline is quickly approaching. I don't know if they have to have it done by then, but I would imagine that you do. But hey, I don't know. Maybe you can move somebody and get
is that next week or?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's like the 12th or the 13th is roster freeze deadline. Let me see. I'm going to say...
It might have been the 13th, I thought.
Maybe the 13th because it's Friday. Or it's Saturday. I can find out. You can talk about the optimism and maybe playing with Riqui Puig. I'll look it up.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where... Because a couple weeks ago, Greg had talked about how Sanabria and Elijah had played in that Colorado game and all that. And it's like... He said he wanted these guys to get their confidence because next year they're going to need a deep roster. They're in Champions Cup, and then with the World Cup, the roster is going to be, the season's going to be whatever it is. We don't know how long the break is. They're going to need depth, and when you throw Riqui into the mix, Riqui affects everything because he's gonna come deep, he's gonna come low, he's gonna come high, he's gonna go left, he's gonna go right. So how do you fit in these other guys who have pretty much struggled this season, but now they're sort of finding their legs and their comfort level now.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's going to be again something that you have to watch and sort of see how that fits in. It's the 15th, by the way.
15th.
Yeah. So at 5 p.m. Eastern time, apparently September 15th, 5 p.m. Eastern time, because that makes perfect sense. 5 p.m. Why not? Just if you're going to make something up. So Mr. Ravino, by the way, says it's the 12th. So, I don't, let's see. Oh, see, that wasn't correct. I think it's the 12th. Yes.
Cool.
Yes, it's the 12th. Don't worry whenever you type in stuff into Chat GPT, it's going to give you the wrong answer half the time. If you actually read it, it said in 2015, this is when it was. I bet, let's see, watch, I typed it wrong. Yeah, I did.
Josh,
I did. I typed it wrong. Yeah, 2025. I typed in 2015. The whole deal. By the way, Pottermus says watching the Galaxy this season is like watching Titanic and hoping it would not sink, knowing it will, right? Like you went to that movie. Damian, and you were like, maybe it won't sink this time.
Maybe they'll make it. Maybe they'll survive this time.
Maybe it'll go. But no, it didn't. I went to that was, what year was that? 99? Is that correct? It was earlier than that. I had a girlfriend. Thank you very much. We went 3 times to that particular movie. 3 times. A 3-hour. Remember, it was like 3.5 hours or something like that. It's a long movie. But yes, I went 3 times. It's always an interesting one. Looking just at what the Galaxy are trying to do and trying to accomplish in this last one. I came into this, Damian. I watched this game. As much as I possibly could with all the interruptions and everything else. So to me, it feels like a very disjointed game because I didn't get to watch a lot of it. So it feels disjointed to me. But I was like, you know what? The point is good. The point was a good road point, and any other day you're going to be excited about a road point. And then I went and saw the XG. And I was like, maybe I'm being too soft. Maybe this should have been 3 points. Maybe we should be a little bit higher. The LA Galaxy 2.7 on the XG to 1.7 for Houston. Now, I think the argument here is that Houston at 1.7 should have scored another goal, right?
Yeah.
But it's saying the Galaxy should have scored 2 more goals, which is correct because they had the one that they should have finished whenever Ramirez was pegged offside, and then they had the Ramirez one at the end there too. So it's again, we have to go and see how these sort of progress now as the season is starting to wrap up as we're starting to see this all go. Only 6 games remaining for the LA Galaxy, 7 if you count Campeones Cup. Did you put in your credential for Campeones Cup?
I'll do it though probably the day before.
I already did it. And I texted everybody to let them know I did it because, you know, I'm usually late and everything else. By the way, the last time I think I was on with you and I said, oh, I forgot to get my credential. I don't even know if I'm going or stuff like that. There were people who like went to the LA Galaxy's PR department. They're like, Josh forgot to put his credential in, like, you know, inside the building. I'm like, and they're like, did you forget to put your credential in? I'm like, yes, I did. I need to do that. So, but you know, glad that all that's getting done. So Campeones Cup coming up on October 1st. You know, again, the point is fine in Houston. Houston's a weird, stupid place. John Nelson goes, this is always a difficult place to play. You can see it just on the field. You can see it just in the humidity and everything else that is going on there. But this is it. This is the rest of the season for the LA Galaxy. From now here on out, Damian, our schedules, whenever I always clip the schedule and sort of show what it looks like, it's all going to be in one piece here because we're done. This is it. There's only 6 games left, 7, again, whenever you count Campeones Cup on October 1st against Toluca. So the Galaxy now have to do something that they really don't want to do, which is travel back up to Seattle. Seattle is coming off of their Leagues Cup win. They are, you know, there was a kerfuffle there at the end. I don't know if anybody saw what happened in their Leagues Cup win and everything that went down. But the Galaxy basically have to go up this weekend and take on Seattle on Saturday at 5:30 p.m. That is just a monumental task because if Seattle's going to win MLS Cup, Damian, they're going to take these next, 6 games that they have or 5 games that they have, and they're going to just absolutely try to destroy people because I really feel like they're just scratching the surface with what they're able to do, and hopefully they might start getting a little bit healthy. So the Galaxy are going to run into this buzzsaw, at least by my admission, and they're going to have a real difficult time playing. Listen, it's always, I think what they've won twice in Seattle and since Bruce Arena was around. And so trying to go up to Seattle is a monumental task. I just don't see that happen. So they get to run into that buzzsaw.
Yeah, it's also Seattle's in a weird schedule because they're playing Saturday at home, early game 5:30, and then they got to go to Miami on Tuesday.
Yes,
which is that's a horrible schedule.
Not only that, but they just played Miami and they hate each other now. So now there's full on bad blood. I mean, this is a grudge match. So maybe are you thinking they just completely they don't even play they just forfeit on Saturday? Is that what you're thinking?
Man, why not? I mean, they're probably going to throw the academy kids out there anyway, no matter what. Everybody's wearing jersey numbers higher than 60 and just still manage to get a result somehow, which they always seem to do. Yeah, going to Seattle this late in the year, it's going to be it's a tough one, especially 5:30 early game. But with them having to play Tuesday, we'll see what kind of lineup Spencer sends out there. Yeah. Even what kind of lineup does Greg send out there? I mean, I think Peck is suspended, yellow card. I believe
could be.
I saw that somewhere. I'm not sure if that's. I didn't see the latest game notes. And then Painter's coming back from Ghana. When does he get back? He's probably back sometime midweek.
Right.
So we'll see what kind of lineup he sends out as well.
Yeah, and not exactly the place that you want to go ahead and stretch anybody who's been injured, right? So Marco Royce doesn't even make that trip, right? That's not one. Nascimento, with Nascimento, it seems like whatever injury he has is taking its toll on him, and he's slow to come back. Is that sort of seems to be what we're seeing right now, right?
Yeah. Did he say it was a groin injury or something? And
it was a groin, but also he was talking that he had some sort of hematoma that he had to have drained, right?
Yeah.
So I don't want to know. That's too much, Greg.
Yeah, that doesn't sound good.
No, it doesn't. So on turf, he's not going to play. Again, Amiro Garces not going to play. Why would you bring him back to play against that game on turf? There's just so many things that you probably don't do in this game. And by the way, I'm usually way more conservative with that than Greg Vanney is, right? Yeah. Greg is sort of I don't know, you can play on turf or saw, whatever. Like you eventually have to play these guys. You can't put them in bubble wrap, and I get that. But yeah, I think it's a stupid, weird sort of place for everything to be put into whenever you look at going up to Seattle, and then with all the injuries the Galaxy have. So it just means more time for guys like Winder, more times like for Rindolph. I think Rindolph is basically might play this entire rest of the stretch,
he
right?
Might close out the year. He might win Defender of the Year.
he very well could. I think I said it on Thursday night, but just the whole Damian. This is why you're so good, because we were talking about his program that he does before the game, and I told you what he had told me, and you were like, yeah, and you go, well, what do you do after that, right? The whole the what do you do after that? The fact that Chris Rindolph was like, yeah, well, I just I solve a Rubik's Cube 4 times. Like, excuse me, I'm sorry, what? Yeah,
4 times?
4 times, right?
Unbelievable. I was in the store the other day and I saw Rubik's Cube and I thought of him. I was like,
oh, okay. That was
like, wow.
That was my youngest had a mini Rubik's Cube, and he came up to me and goes, can you fix this? I'm like, nope, but I know somebody who could, I was like, so I had to tell him about Chris Rindolph. I'm like, this guy can do it. So just watching him, but I mean, he's going to get to play. I think Harbor Miller plays. I think Tucker Lepley plays. I think you're going to get, again, a lot of what we saw in that first half. And it's guys getting a chance to go out there and prove themselves. And, hey, this season is done. We know that. Apparently, the magic number, somebody in our Discord did the magic number. The magic number for the wooden spoon is 16. So any combination of 16 points, either for St. Louis or losing points by the LA Galaxy, would result in the LA Galaxy winning the wooden spoon. That's the only thing that's up for play right now for the LA Galaxy, is whether or not they can not finish last in the whole entire league. And that starts with, actually I can even go, I have the bottom of the conference right now. It is the LA Galaxy, it is St. Louis, then it's DC United and Montreal over in the Eastern Conference. So 24 points between Montreal and DC United. Then you have St. Louis at 22 points and the Galaxy at 20 points. Had the Galaxy have won that game, by the way, they would have been, I believe, tied with St. Louis on points.
Yeah.
And so instead they both got draws. So they just sort of kicked the can down the road a little bit. It's still separated by 2 points. The Galaxy still have a game in hand on both St. Louis, DC United, and Montreal. So that's something that if the Galaxy can pick up 3 points, they can jump over St. Louis, even if St. Louis wins out at this point, right? It's stupid that we're sitting here saying that this is something, but John Nelson told me that he's watching it. I know these guys know what's going on. They don't want it, Damian.
No, yeah, they don't want it. I mean, to go from Champions One League to Wooden Spoon recipients the next year, that's a wild turn of events. But you never want to finish last in the league.
That you can't. You don't want to. You don't want that trophy. It's just It's just not. It's not no part of it. And by the way, would I consider it a minor success if the LA Galaxy somehow pulled themselves out of the basement on this one? 100%. I would have been like,
of course.
Didn't
finish last, and you qualified for Champions Cup.
There you go. See,
that's a good end to the season.
Yeah, I love it. There was I put out the last after the last Monday show, or I guess the Thursday show, because I did do a show on Monday. But on the Thursday show, I said, hey, you have this CONCACAF Champions Cup, and the title of it was like CONCACAF win ? Right, like this whole deal. And then somebody clearly didn't listen to the podcast. They're like, man, you've lowered your standards so much for this team. This is ridiculous. You're just a sellout the whole day. And I was like, I literally said this is the absolute bare minimum that like you could have done and gotten like any sort of like, oh, hey, look what we accomplished. You got CONCACAF Champions Cup. You didn't even do it by winning Leagues Cup. You got it by the third place game. But however you got it done, right?
Yeah.
So, little things like that. But you're right. If they can, pull themselves out of it, again, it's about momentum. I think if the Galaxy start feeling better about themselves now, whenever they get to the offseason, a lot of things are going to change, right? I think there's 9 contracts that are up, but not only that, there's guys who have 1 year left that are also primed to be moved as well. Mm-hmm. And so I think that there's more than just 9. I think there's probably 13 or 14 players that you could see move in some capacity. I don't think all of them, but there's some really big decisions to sort of come about. So you still have stuff like Diego Fagundes this is his last year, right? I think I was talking to Kevin Baxter today. We were talking about Diego Fagundes. I'm like, he's a valuable piece, but he's not a valuable piece at over $1 million. That's the problem, right? So what number makes him valuable enough? 1, that helps you with everything that you need to on the team, and 2, that he's good with, that nobody else will want to give him. Maybe he doesn't want to go somewhere else. Maybe he wants to stay. So what kind of deal can you get for that? And that's that's unfortunate for Diego that you're sort of put in that position, but I think there's also could be some positives to that where the Galaxy could save some money, and Diego, for goodness, could stay in Southern California if he wants to. Maybe there's a chance for him to go back to New England or somewhere else where he's really comfortable too, right? So you don't know how those things play out, but that's going to be one. Christian Ramirez is one with the contract up that maybe you're looking at and seeing how that fits or how it doesn't fit and where he's going and, all those sorts of things. So that's where you sort of get into the big decisions that still have to be made from the LA Galaxy. I went through and looked at the LA Galaxy DP minutes. We were at this year, the LA Galaxy's designated players have played less than 50% of the total available minutes. We're at 48.5%. Joseph Paintsel has played 61.7% of his total available minutes. So just under, really that 2/3 mark. And then Gabriel Peck at 83.8% of the total available minutes. When you look at games played, there's 28 games total played so far. Joseph Paintsel has played in 20 of those, so missed just 8. But at the same time, only has 1,554 minutes played this year. It's a significant sort of downturn from where he was, and obviously the injuries at the beginning of the year really sort of let him out and probably let him down for this season. Gabriel Peck at 25 games played, 23 games started. Peck has been there for most of the year, so that's sort of the numbers that I think you would want to see from a designated player. And then of course you have Riqui Puig bringing up the 0 so far in there. Just comparing to last year, Damian, they were 82.5% of the total available minutes, the highest that I have been keeping track of from the designated player. And then this year it's at 48.5. By the way, what percentage was 2023? 48.3%.
48.3.
Any similarities to what's happened? If you wanted to point at something and say, why did this happen? Why was 23 the same as 2025? This could be one of those things you could use in your argument. That Javier, whenever you had Chicharito with his season-ending injury, when you have Riqui Puig with his basically what ended up being a season-ending injury this year, because as of right now he's not back on the field. So that was something that the Galaxy sort of played with and tried to see. But right now, those 2 years, 2023 and 2025, are almost exact copies of each other, especially whenever you look at sort of how everything plays out.
Yeah. Like I said, your DP's got to be available.
100% all the time, right?
Yeah. Yep.
One of the things that also popped up into my head whenever I was doing all this is that the Galaxy have lost almost 60% of the games they've played this year. There's only one other time that I can find the Galaxy into the 50% of the losing percentage than whenever I track it. And that would be in 2017 and in 2020, right? Just to sort of put those into perspective with everybody. Now, the Galaxy have lost 16 games this year. They won 19 games last year. They lost 8 games last year. The Galaxy have won 4 games this year, lost 16 games this year. Those are some pretty stark contrasts there whenever you try to compare those two. So, again, historically, just looking at the numbers, the 57.1 would be the worst ever, right? And so where they're at right now and sort of how they finish out could really drastically change how that sort of fits. It's not going to be great, but you could get out of the 50s if you start winning some games. And then maybe that puts you on a little bit better sort of streak or standing whenever you're looking at it. I can plot the LA Galaxy season against all other seasons, Damian. So any other season the LA Galaxy have played, and there's that. Look at the LA Galaxy. They're like they're almost like Madagascar or maybe Bermuda. They're like Bermuda. Yeah. They're in the middle of the ocean, out in like kind of away from everything. All to their lonesome down there on the very bottom. So again, just in order to storytell what is happening so far with the LA Galaxy this year, if you want to look at any team that is close to them in terms of points through 28 games, you'd have to go back to 2017 where they had only 27 points. 27 points. So they're 7 points shy of basically one of their worst finishes ever.
Okay. Man, that was a bad year.
Oh, it was horrible. See, that's the whole thing, Damian. You and I both lived through 2017. I will maintain until I die that 2017 was the worst year of soccer I ever watched in my entire life. This hasn't been this year, but yet the points and everything tell me that it is. So maybe I'm just lying to myself.
Yeah, 2017 was brutal, man. That was my first full year back, and I was just like, holy, what does it get? Does it get any better?
No, it didn't. Not in 2017.
It didn't get better at all. It was brutal.
It absolutely was. Just another thing that points to the worst season the LA Galaxy have ever had. 0.71 points per game is their current total. The lowest they ever finished with was under 1 was 0.94 points again in 2017.
2017.
Yes. So there's a reason that I call 2017 the worst. 2020, by the way, had they played more games, it equals out to worse play than 2017. Just want to be because I think they played like 22 or 24 games or something like that, right? And because there were less games, the numbers actually get inflated or deflated depending on where you're going, because I can show you the next one, which is sort of, the goal projections. So through 28 games, the Galaxy have scored 33 goals and they've conceded 56 goals. So we're projecting the Galaxy to score just 7 more goals this year. They have 6 more games left. They're going to score 7 more goals that finish around 40, and they're going to allow 12 more goals at 68. And you're saying, well, 68 has to be like this horrible record and everything like that. 68 would put them one above 2023, which was 67. But again, you go back to 2020, and depending on look at 2020 in terms of how it lines up with 2025. And I don't have 2017 on this list. I really should go back and put 2017 on this list so we can see what that would look like in terms of, where they sat. Let me see if do I have 20? I don't think I have 2017's.
2020 was just, I give everybody a pass for that year, man. It was just so bad. Everything was a mess. I talked to Joe Corona when Tijuana was out here. He was just like, that season was just so bad. Just to go to Florida, then to come back, to wait, then to restart. It was just a mess all the way around.
It was just crazy. That whole year, all a blur for me as well. Don't know how that all played out. Finally, just the points per month in there. Again, just look at the top of this graph. Loss, 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 draw, loss, loss, draw, loss, loss, draw, loss. Wait a minute. Win! There it was. 17 games into the season, the LA Galaxy got their first win. If you forgot that part, I just wanted to reiterate it once again. The reason that we're in the position that we're in right now, right, where the Galaxy have only 4 wins, where they are at 0.71 points per game, where they're 2 points south of the wooden spoon right now, is this start right here. 16-game winless streak to start the season. Worst ever. Worst ever. I think it is the worst ever. Did anybody else ever start this bad? I can't remember whenever we were going. It's the worst LA Galaxy start ever. It's the worst start or worst start for a defending champion ever.
Oh, of course, yeah. I think it might be the league record. I'm not sure. There was someone I think there was another team who had it, but it carried over from the previous year, I believe.
Okay, yeah. I don't play that.
This might be the worst start, from the start of the season.
Yeah.
Got to double check that with the league.
By the way, Q and Bruce says 6 great seasons, 24 awful seasons, right? Like, whenever you're looking at that, it does let's put that into perspective anyway. Just once again, because I always say this: if the Galaxy won an MLS Cup, and I know people hate it when I say this, they won an MLS Cup, Damian, once every 10 years, they would still outpace the rest of the league, right? Like the rest of the league would be toast. Nobody would ever catch them, right? And that's where we are with 30 teams now. It's harder. It's going to be more spread out. There's more chance for variation and all of that. I mean, just getting unlucky now. If a team gets lucky in a year, they can move up 2 or 3 spots just because of how lucky they get. And maybe the LA Galaxy got lucky last year. I mean, they certainly did whenever it came to playoff time and the route that they took. So
yeah, everything played out in their way. It had a bunch of home games and just rode it out. And you look at San Diego this year. First year, everything's going their way. They're top of the league. But what happens next year when it's that second year, third year? Where are they then? So this league is so crazy.
It's fickle. You don't know. So you don't know. Right now in the Eastern Conference is Philadelphia at the top with 57 points. It's a lot of points. Leading the entire league right now is Philadelphia. So you have Philadelphia at 57, San Diego at 56. And then Western Conference wise, it is San Diego 56, Minnesota 51. Both of them have clinched playoff spots. Vancouver 49, Seattle 44. This is one where Seattle has played 27 games. The Galaxy have played 28 games. Vancouver has played 27 games. Watch Vancouver. Vancouver has a chance to do some fun stuff still, Damian. I don't know if they're going to get back on track with everything they're doing, but they have a chance to finish this at the top of the Western Conference. I think if they really want to, with the 2 games that they have in hand, and they would put them at 55 points just behind San Diego if they could win those 2 games.
Yeah, something to watch. We also with Muller arriving too.
Yes, right. That's been a big boost, right? And so watching that, Seattle at 44 points, sitting just at the 4th spot. It's LAFC at 5 with 41, Austin with 41. LAFC only played 26 games, 3 games shy of San Diego and Minnesota right now. Austin at 41, Portland at 39. That's the last guaranteed playoff spot. And then it's Colorado and San Jose, 35 and 35 points. That's in the 8-9 spot. And it was Houston falling out of the number 9 spot whenever they drew to the LA Galaxy there. So at the number 10 spot. Then it is Real Salt Lake at 31 points, Dallas at 31 points, Kansas City at 27, St. Louis at 22, and the LA Galaxy at 20. The Galaxy could double their points, Damian, and they would only be in 7th position. So just want to, again, sort of put that in.
Just shows how crazy this season has been.
We will, I don't even know what it is. Somebody did ask, by the way, and there was a super chat in here, and let me go check it out because I want to make sure. Jacob, $10 super chat says, thoughts on Suarez situation, only 3 league matches. So there was penalties put down by MLS. First, it was Leagues Cup who came out and suspended Suarez, I think, for 6 games.
6 games,
yeah. And then it was MLS who said that was so egregious that we're going to suspend you as well. So Jacob goes, only 3 league matches, truly disgusting, disrespectful behavior, and they'll get away with a waggle of the finger. I always love the LA Galaxy, but it's getting so hard to like MLS. I happen to agree. You had a chance to actually do something and sort of say, hey, it doesn't matter who you are or what you do. The real problem that I have is not so much with Suarez getting just 3 games, but then you also had Jordi Alba, who was out there punching people and doing stuff it was pretty egregious, and it was on, like, you could see it. That deserved at least 2 games suspension.
Yeah. Was it Alba or Busquets? It was one of them.
It was Busquets. You're right. It was Busquets. Yeah.
Pretty good. They had pretty good shots they were getting off too, and it's just like, man, they didn't get anything. I didn't even know Steven Lenhart was with Seattle. It's like, dude, he got suspended for the rest of the year or something.
He did. Like, so the first of all, Steven Lenhart just stays being Steven Lenhart. I don't know what else. I mean, if you're a Galaxy fan, you know, right? But apparently he's one of their mental health coaches for Seattle. And Oh yeah, I know. Again, it seems like a stretch, but I'm not going to. Maybe he has found his zen since he retired. I remember very clearly whenever the LA Galaxy had the Mike McGee goalkeeper game, and they sort of asked Steven Lenhart afterwards what happened, and he was a very upset man. Just couldn't handle the fact that it looked like Mike McGee stood on his head and kept San Jose Earthquakes from doing anything in that game, right? So. He was apparently, he got in trouble for Seattle got in trouble, and then Lenhart got in trouble, and Seattle got in trouble for, I guess, misuse of credentials. I think you're only allowed a certain number of like coaches and people and blah, 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 the whole deal. And so basically they're saying that Seattle abused the credential list in order to get Steven Lenhart, I guess, closer to the field or on the field and that type of thing. And then for Steven Lenhart, apparently, as not, maybe you can only have a certain number of coaches and number of like trainers. And like, I think maybe they were over the limit. And so then Lenhart gets suspended for the rest of the year, basically, by Major League Soccer, and basically says, you're not even allowed on the field. You can only go places where the public is able to access. So basically you got to sit in the stands if you're going to be anywhere, so you don't get any credential access. And then MLS even drops the hammer more, which is, we're going to reevaluate your credential access starting next year. Like, if you want a credential next year, we're going to have to reevaluate that. We're going to think about it, right? So I'm just crazy. I think I said on Thursday that Luis Suarez is one of those really talented morons, and it never surprises me when he ever does stuff. I saw this from I think, was it Give Me Sport, or I can't see the tag on it, but basically Luis Suarez throughout his career has missed 54 games to injury and 65 to suspension, right? Like, that's it hasn't been injuries that have slowed down Luis Suarez. It's been suspension more than anything.
The 3 games just seem so light just for blatantly spitting at people.
Is it wrong to say that Tuesday matchup, whenever it's Seattle and Miami, whenever they play, that's going to be like must watch? Like, is it, or is it going to just not be anything?
if Suarez is playing, it would be must watch for sure. I still think it will be. But it's Tuesday though. It's a Tuesday game Tuesday game in September. Why are you playing on Tuesday for it? It's
Tuesday.
Like the craziest day to play an MLS soccer game.
Nobody knows.
But yeah, a lot of eyes will be on it though. That's for sure.
We'll see that. One of the things I wanted to say is that Kevin Acevedo, who's with the LA Galaxy, has left that position, is no longer with the team, and I just want to say, because I always enjoy dealing with good people, that Kevin was good people, and so at least from my side of things, I'm gonna miss him. I hope he does well, and whatever he does next. But always a pleasure to work with somebody who helps out whenever he can, and does it. Especially, I always feel like I'm an imposter, Damian. Right? I may have been doing this for 17 years, but I'm just a guy with a podcast. I mean, I don't even write anything anymore because that takes a lot of time and effort, and I don't want to do that. But being treated like one of the big boys is always nice to do. So all the best to Kevin. I'm gonna miss him. So that's my little thing. Go ahead.
I echo the same sentiments. I'm one of those weirdos who actually have to sit and write stories every week. But he helped me out a lot. I'm gonna miss him. I'm sure he'll bounce back somewhere.
100%. But always good to send him off with a little salute and a good job there. You do have to write. I don't know how you do. You're always writing, even whenever you're asking questions and you're have to write stuff. I'm like, nah. I did that. I covered for Baxter a couple times, right? I wrote stories on Deadline. Just shoot me.
Gotcha.
Just shoot me. I couldn't even eat, Damian. I wouldn't even go down at halftime and have a cookie or anything like that. I'd be like, oh man, I think they were preseason games, and I had to come up with 3 things we learned, that type of thing. And I was like, oh man, this is tough. This is tough. We didn't learn anything. It's a preseason game, So, let's see. Joe says talented moron was my nickname growing up. Now it's just moron. Yeah, well, we all get there, Joe. Aaron says, do we want Lewandowski on TAM? Lewandowski. He's coming, right? This is it. Barca said that they're done. Barca says no more. He's not playing anymore. If you can work,
that's certainly an upgrade. How much would it cost? I mean,
TAM. You can't do it for.
It's TAM.
It's TAM. Who cares?
Yeah, it's TAM.
Yeah, not my money, and I don't care.
Hey, not my money either. Do it.
It's interesting because certainly under Will Kuntz, there is a rejection of somebody like Lewandowski and playing at his age on a DP contract, right? Seems to be that rejection of that idea, which I'm fine with. But I would say that having somebody like Royce and having somebody like Lewandowski playing for the LA Galaxy certainly raises the level, or certainly raises the media eyes on the LA Galaxy. And with Son playing for LAFC, I think there is going to be a want to react in a way that is felt on the streets, right? Sort of thing. It's like people eyes watching you, that type of thing. So it wouldn't surprise me if they go out and do it, but it would under sort of Will's general, theory of relativity. The Will Kuntz general theory is that that would have to be a TAM deal. And would Lewandowski want to come for TAM after being one of the highest paid players at Barcelona, I think? So, I mean, you don't need the money, right, Damian? Right? You don't need it.
You come to LA, hang out in LA, you don't need the money.
You can grill bratwurst with Marco, down on the beach, down in the OC, right? I mean, what else do you need? They could
what else do you need? What else? Come up to hit the 405, be in Carson in 25, 30 minutes training.
Perfect. Like Marco says, you wake up every morning, the sun is shining. What else why is there to be what is there to be upset about?
Exactly.
No, it is interesting. I listen, the big deal there would be, could they get it done in the wintertime? Because waiting for summer is a long way away, right? And that's sort of where it is. And I think that will depend on sort of what Barcelona's doing, playing time, all that sort of stuff. So if you want to watch that, I'm not saying there's anything to this because I don't know. But if you want to watch that, that's something you could watch for. Does Barcelona fall away from La Liga, right? They're not going to be in competitions. Is Lewandowski not playing, right? Those types of things. If he's not playing, has a better chance of happening in the winter. If he's playing, I don't think you're happening until summertime. But here's the side of that. You get Riqui Puig back for next year. Greg Vanney has said that it seems that he's going to try to keep Paintsel and Peck together for another year. That at least we'll see. But I think right now that's the idea.
I think that's the goal. Yeah.
Right. So you get that one. So you're going to have your 3 DPs. You're going to have Marco Royce, who hopefully you shut down for the rest of the season. Don't make him play anymore, right? Like, just hey, take it easy, Marco. You're good. Shut that down. So you get Marco Royce in there. And then if you could find another TAM player and you have room, and I think the Galaxy are going to have the roster flexibility to do some stuff like this. You could bring in Lewandowski in the summertime. That's not a horrible thing. Maybe you deal with Nascimento, and he's sort of your striker to sort of lead that out, and you lean on him. And maybe it's a little bit of a Joveljic situation where he gets to play underneath Lewandowski now, and maybe that helps you, and that helps you to develop. But you also have to decide that you want Nascimento, right? Because he's on loan, and you have to decide if you're going to buy him or maybe you get him on another loan. I don't think so, but I think you're going to have to either buy him or return him. So those are sort of fun things that you can start messing around with in your head. So that's sort of it. What else? Anything else?
Another thing, you got to hear Galaxy, Peck, Paintsel names and all these, rumors all over the place, but they've only been loans. I think for Peck.
Yes. So
I'm not doing anything for a loan at all.
I had a source that had told me that I sent over the rumor, and I was sort of like, 16 million is a lot of money to say no to. And they were sort of like, and if we did, we'd, we wouldn't, right? Like on 16, like if that was a real number, I think maybe there was probably a deal to be made at 16 million euros. So about $18 million, I think is what it was. So, like, I think that there could have been a deal, but I was told it was only a loan. And then Greg Vanney was asked about it, and he was like, I don't even know where the 16 million came from. He was sort of like, I don't know. He goes, but it was a loan. So Greg Vanney confirmed that. So, yeah, loans, but like, okay, why would the Galaxy want to loan anybody out? Like, does that make sense?
I think that was the same thing with the Oviedo rumor, I think, as well. So it's like a loan deal or something, but it's like the Galaxy, what do they benefit from a loan? Of course, it's, if there's an option to buy, maybe, but for a loan deal, it's like.
So that will be the other thing that happens in this offseason. We're going to see all the rumors about Peck and Paintsel, and then who else we'd see rumors about? Aude. Aude is going to be a rumor guy. Cuevas, I think. I'm going to stick by it. I think Cuevas moves. I think Cuevas moves this offseason. Okay,
This is final guaranteed year?
I don't think so. I think he has maybe it is a final guaranteed year. Maybe he has an option.
I think he has a couple options coming up, I believe.
Yeah, and the Galaxy are going to be like, we're option, yes. Option, yes. That type of thing.
So, yeah. Him, Cuevas, Aude. Those are probably the other two.
Cerrillo's, I think Cerrillo's staying. He's on a longer term deal too, so he sits. Yeah. Okay, there's one thing we haven't talked about. We still need to talk about JT Marcinkowski. I've seen him play now in 2 games, Damian. 2 games.
He's your starter.
He's my starter. I'm just saying. I just want to go back and watch the Houston game and tell me where he put a foot wrong, and you were sort of like, oh no, right? Like, oh no, there wasn't.
Yeah, he's been solid. You have 2 guys who should be starters. So what are you going to do next year? That's another question.
So anyway, JT Marcinkowski is another guy. Just sort of watch what happens, because I think the Galaxy has sort of laid the groundwork there of being like, we're going to rehab you, we're going to get you back, and then whenever you're there, we'll get it. Greg Vanney said that JT was going to get some time down the stretch, and there was going to be rotation. I asked him specifically about that, and he said absolutely. So JT started this game. He's just a solid MLS goalkeeper. Is he an MLS Cup winning goalkeeper? I think he could be. Right? He doesn't hurt you. He don't hurt you.
No. And then another thing for next year is that your veteran center backs, defenders, Yamane, Zonka, Yoshida, Zavaleta. Oh, well. Yeah. I mean, he's there. He's a guy.
Yeah.
He's a good guy. What do you do with that? I mean, what do you do with those guys? I mean, I think Yoshida has another year, right? Yamane is this an option after this, I believe.
He might. I'll have to look. Do I have my roster? No, I don't have my roster. I had it. I deleted it because whenever I was going, I was like, oh no, I don't have it. I was trying to have it sit here on my desktop. I wonder if no, I still don't have it. But
yes, the second guaranteed year. So you're thinking there's probably an option after that. So, I mean, they have Harbor there. Harbor's he can. Do you want to run him off for a whole year? He can slide into that one of those outside spots if if one of them move, if Aude moves or whatever, if Yamane, goes back, who knows what the off season is gonna hold for those guys. But like you said, there could be a lot of changes, but there's some pieces that can probably slide into those spots.
Right.
Need some center back depth for sure. But then again, with Garces is there, Randolph is there. Who knows what'll happen?
Yamane still guaranteed through 2026.
Okay.
Yoshida is guaranteed through 2026 because he has another year, but I still think that's a contract you could possibly move. Zonka is through 2026 as well, if I remember correctly. But again, if you're asking me what happens in between Yoshida and Zonka, I think that Zonka still has more life in his legs, and you may be able to get him a move to go back home type thing where you could say, hey, do you want to go? Yeah, I want to go. Even if it costs you like $0, like you don't get anything, you just a free transfer, just let him go because it's cap space more than anything, right?
Yeah.
So that's one that I don't think it's my opinion that Zonka can't come back to this team next year. Now, that's not because I think he's the worst player in the world. There's plenty of people who think that. I don't.
A lot of people.
I don't. I think you put him with Garces and all of a sudden things are a lot better. I think you put Yoshida with Garces and suddenly things are a lot better. But you know who else you could put with Garces and maybe things would be a lot better? Chris Randolph. And so if that's going to be your thing, then you have one too many center backs now, right? So somebody's leaving and you can't spend that much money on two of them who are going to sit on the bench. So somebody's going. You're either moving Yoshida or you're moving Zonka. Somebody's not going to be here next year. Yeah. And I think that decision has to be made. If it's me, I would try to move Zonka. Again, I think that there's still value. I think there's some value there. Don't go crazy. Josh didn't say he's going to sell him for $20 million. That's not what it said because people were like, I can't believe you think he has value. I think there could be some value to him back at home type thing.
Yeah.
So
go ahead.
No, I was just because even if you mutually terminate a contract type thing because it's in best interest, like that works too. So you have to sit there.
How many years does Nelson have left?
Nelson...
he's just been just solid. The last 2 years have been really solid. He might be.
He has an option. He has an
option. Going to an option year.
Yep. So this is last guaranteed. He's in option year, and he's one option year. So, you're keeping him. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah,
John Nelson.
Young defender. Yeah.
No, don't you touch my John Nelson. I may have said that I like Aude because he gets more, but John Nelson, he gets it done. Whenever you need somebody to get it done, John Nelson gets it done. So. I have no problems with that. I love that kid, and luckily I'm old enough I get to call everybody a kid now. So he's a good kid. He plays well. He's smart, and it's gonna be a lot. Yeah, I got Jams Goes to vote next podcast of who's in and who's out. Yeah, I mean I think I've gone over because we're already entered that phase. I think now I've gone over the roster 3 or 4 times in terms of where the rosters are and where they sit. And certainly the decisions that have to be made. Again, I think if you're looking at like Diego Fagundes, who I think he's up this year, that's one where they need to see cost savings in order to be able to keep him. So if Diego wants to stay, then maybe it's $500,000 instead of $1.3 million. And that's, I know it's a haircut, just like you. Look, see, I mean, let's not touch mine. He's gonna yell at me whenever I see it. It's fine. I understand. But no, I mean, I think that there's some value sort of there. And the 1.3, I don't think that was right either. Let me do it right because people deserve the right numbers. Watch, I was really close. Yeah, 1.3. Okay, I was right. I just wanted to check. 1.31. So on that. So yeah, I mean, I think there's a haircut there. What does that look like? I don't know. He's probably not the first guy you bring back, which is sort of sucky, right? You may go out and try to figure in some other pieces and see how much money you got left to sort of make that work. But I think Diego Fagundes is an important part of this team, both leadership-wise and the ability to play things. I know people jump all over. Listen, in a season where the Galaxy win 4 games, at most point, the fans have hated every single player on that field. So, and I see it in the chat room right now, the whole deal. Yeah. So, but there's still some valuable pieces there, and I think you don't want to lose a core that you have sort of started to build. I think Cerrillo is part of that core. I think JT Marcinkowski is part of that core. Like in there,
you don't want to, after building that core for 2024, you have to send pieces away. You don't want to tear this core up here.
Yep.
As you're going to 2026. So
you need to add in appropriate pieces, and that means
Yeah.
that you're going to have to shed some appropriate pieces as well. So, that's sort of coming. So, all right, that's where we're going to sit. On Thursday, we'll get you ready for the game against Seattle on Saturday. I'm sure tons of breaking news will happen between now and then in order to fill up an entire hour of Galaxy talk. But Damian, as always, thank you. I appreciate you stopping by again, buddy. It's been... I know you've been filling in, but I think you're working yourself into a gig here, so you can put that on your resume or something. I don't know. I don't know what it does for anybody, quite honestly.
we're gonna send Kevin out to cover hockey or something, which I think he does anyway.
He does that too. Yeah. Kings are getting ready to start up. Ducks are getting ready to start up. So that's one of my goals this year is to go to a Kings game because I haven't been to a Kings game since I was like a little tiny wee baby. So that'll be one of my. I'm going to take my kid with me too. That'll be fun. So we're going to do that. Although his school also shares the logo and the name of the Ducks.
Oh.
Right. So I imagine we'll be going to some Ducks games too. So
Yeah, you have to.
quack quack, all that stuff. So that's where we're going. All right, Damian, why don't you tell people where they can find you? Let's go.
Twitter, Damian Calhoun, stories, and all the papers of the Southern Cal News Group, LA Daily News, Orange County Register, Long Beach Press Telegram. I'm on Blue Sky as well.
Yep.
I don't know if anybody's over there. Same thing, Damian Calhoun. Instagram, same name. I'm easy. Just one name, same name. I can remember it all. So that's where I'm at.
Awesome. Thank you, Damian. If you're looking for me on any of the socials at Galaxy Podcast, cornerofthegalaxy.com, head on over. Still planning an event on the 21st of September. More details here shortly, so please stay tuned for that. All right, the LA Galaxy 1-1 draw against Houston. We'll get you ready for Seattle on Thursday. Hope everybody has a great rest of your week. Buckle up, buckle down, see how it goes. Hang in there till Thursday. We'll get you through to the game on Saturday. For Mr. Damian Calhoun, I'm Josh Patrick Guesman. You've been listening. You've been watching Corner of the Galaxy from the box on cornerofthegalaxy.com.
You've been listening to the Corner of the Galaxy podcast on cornerofthegalaxy.com. You can follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Galaxy Podcast. And be sure to check out and subscribe to iTunes, Stitcher, and Facebook by searching for Corner of the Galaxy. Fans, we thank you for listening, and we ask that you be kind and courteous to your neighbors as you leave the podcast. We thank you for joining us and look forward to seeing you again. Until then, I'm Michael Araujo, and on behalf of the entire Corner of the Galaxy crew, goodbye, everybody.